I used to feel overwhelmed and drained because I didn't say no when I needed to. And it's not that I couldn't say no, it's because I didn't know when to say no. I often get swept by other people's emotion, problems, and needs, or even their words, that I forget what my needs were at that moment in time. Over the years, I have developed 8 boundary rules to help me prevent burnout or feeling drained. These rules are like shortcuts. Nowadays, I don't have to think so much or decide whether to say no or not each time a new situation arises. When I just follow these 8 rules, I will know my response in advance. So rule number 1 is, if I have a bad vibe on something or someone, the answer is no. I don't care how convincing someone tries to persuade me, how great the opportunity sounds, how nice or charming the person appears to be, or even how much help they need, whether they are in a desperate situation or not. If I get a funny feeling from my intuition, I will not proceed. There are just way too many times when I didn't trust my intuition, despite all this weird feeling I'm getting, that I landed up in a situation that I later regret. If you have watched some of the videos on this channel, you will know what they are. These bad vibes are warning signs and red flags provided by your intuition, and they are helping you. So you have to listen to it. It's better to be safe than to be sorry. The main purpose of setting boundary is for you to feel good and to feel safe. And if in the beginning you already feel something is off, I don't think it's very wise to proceed on. Nowadays, I rely a lot on my intuition and I trust my intuition. My intuition is the first rule and it overrides all the other boundaries rules. A person or an opportunity can check all the boxes, but if my intuition says no, then it's a no. Rule number 2, if someone doesn't give me the time to make a decision, then the answer is always no. This makes things much simpler. It saves a lot of time. I don't have to use a lot of brain power to decide whether to say yes or not. I came to realize that I don't like to be forced or persuaded for an answer, because whenever I make a decision hastily, I often regret it. I prefer to sleep on a decision for a few days and let my intuition show me the answer. I may not have answer on the spot, but I'm always very clear and certain of what I want when I'm given some downtime. And again, I don't care how great the opportunity is. If someone wants to force me to give an answer or don't give me some time to think about something, then I don't feel like I'm being respected. It's almost like you have decided my response for me before I even have a chance to respond. And that makes my decision making easy. The answer is no. Like an old schoolmate who I haven't met for almost a decade asked me out one day, and he started telling me about this affiliate program that he was doing and told me that I could earn an additional income, and he wanted me to sign up as his affiliate on the spot. What's more is he brought a friend along. I don't know that person, and his friend was pressurizing me to sign up. I could have said yes and later resent my ex-schoolmate for asking me out and selling me his affiliate program, or I could simply say no and save myself some trouble, and I choose no. And this brings me to rule number 3. When setting boundaries, there's no need to give someone an explanation. And after I say no to my ex-schoolmate, the stranger, my ex-schoolmate's friend, started asking me why. He asked like, don't you want to support your friend? Don't you want to earn more income? From my experience, I know that the more I say, the more reason I give the other party, the more ammunition I give the other party to convince me. Or I might get into a debate with the other party, so I just say no, I just don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. No reason. Or nowadays I would say, I'm just following my vibe, my intuition, my heart. The thing you have to remember is that boundaries don't have to be logical. It just have to make you feel good and feel safe. If doing something or someone doesn't make me feel good, I'm not going to do it, period. I don't have to explain to the other party why I don't feel good or why I don't want to do it. It's not a therapy session. The mind-based persuasion and convincing is just a very different language from the heart-based intuition. Talking more will not help to get into an agreement because we are speaking two different languages. It's like you are speaking Mandarin to someone who only knows English. It doesn't work. If you're someone who tends to be impressionable or easily persuaded, then these boundary rules will be super handy for you. Don't give them more time or attention or entry points to convince you otherwise. Number 4, if saying no doesn't work, leave the situation, say goodbye. Some people find it difficult to accept no. They don't accept rejection very well. So no matter how clear you establish your boundaries, they will try their best to convince you to say yes. If you really make your stand and the person is still forcing you to say yes, then exit the situation. Remember, it's not your responsibility to help other people deal with their rejection. All of us will have to learn how to deal with rejection. Just get up and leave. And I know that sometimes we may feel a bit guilty or bad rejecting someone or end a conversation like this. But it's not just for you, it's also for the other person. If you say yes to something that you are not 100% into, you're doing a disservice to both you and them. Whatever thing that you agree to do, you are going to do it with resentment and it greatly affects the quality, be it whether you are in a relationship or helping someone. So it's better to let them deal with rejection on their own, and because you reject them, it also allows them to find better matches for themselves. Number 5, don't set boundaries when you are unsure. Only set boundaries that truly matters. If you set boundaries, you must be firm, you must mean it. You can't change your boundary after some persuasion because that will make you less credible. People will not take you seriously next time. They will think that if I just persuade you a little more, you will change your mind. So you only want to set boundaries that are truly important, and if someone crosses that line, they are going to get it. It's a non-negotiable. But you don't want to have too many boundaries in your life too. Firstly, if you have too many boundaries, people will think that you're very inflexible or very rigid. They will not dare to approach you because it's like living in a minefield. There are so many bombs waiting to explode, and they have to navigate very carefully around you. Especially in a relationship, it's good to have boundaries. But if you have too many boundaries, you can't do this, you can't do that, then it will be very suffocating. You only want to have boundaries that are truly deal breakers. Secondly, if you have too many boundaries, then none of them will be deemed important. They will have the same weightage, the same priority. It's only when you highlight a certain boundaries that it will be of significance. It's also easier for people to remember. If you want other people to respect your boundaries, but you give them a list of the things that they can't do, very likely they will forget about it. But if you're like, these are some things that I like and dislike, but these are all negotiable, but this thing is non-negotiable, then they will pay attention. Lastly, if you have too many boundaries, you may also want to ask yourself, are these truly boundaries? Or are these something that you resist in your life? Your boundaries may be things that you don't wish to experience in your life, the things that you don't accept. But having too many of this resistance, I don't want this, I don't want that, makes your life tougher and more restrictive. Because there are so many things you need to control in order to make yourself feel happy or safe. And most of these things are probably things which you have no control over. Rule number 6. If I can't say no, or if I feel like I can't say no, I have to stop and re-examine my intention and my belief. I have to ask myself if I'm doing something out of guilt or obligation. So one of the biggest things that I learned in my life is if I do something out of guilt or obligation, it's probably something that I don't wish to do. And doing it will lead to resentment and anger eventually. So then I will have to ask myself, if I don't wish to do this thing, then why am I doing it? There must be some reason or belief that I have that causes me to do something that I don't want to do, that causes me to sacrifice my own needs for others. Is it because of my fear of abandonment or disapproval from other people? Like what will they think of me? Will they perceive me as selfish or cold? Or is it because I feel that my own needs are not important and other people's needs are more important than mine? And what do I believe will happen if I say no to others? And will it actually come true or not? Or is it just part of my belief or my imagination? Asking this question will help me understand my limiting belief, and it will help me to get to the core of what I need to release. You have to know that you always have a choice of saying yes or no. There's a difference between can't say no and choosing to say yes over no. If today you say you value your friends and family and they are of significance to you and you want to help them the best that you can, then that's great. You choose to say yes to their needs. But if you are like, I don't want to do this, but I can't say no to my friends and family, I have no choice, then it's something that you probably need to dig a little bit deeper. Rule number 7. If people don't wish to be helped, I zip my mouth. I used to be too much into other people's business. Whenever they have problems, I try to help them. Then I realized it's because I have this codependency tendency. It feels good to be needed by other people, and as an empath, helping other people to be in a good mood will help me have a good mood because I tend to match my mood to other people. Helping others is great. I'm not saying that you shouldn't help, but after helping people for so many years, I came to realize that not everyone is open to receiving help. Not everyone wants to change. I used to offer other people advice when they didn't ask for it. Like sometimes when people complain about their problems to me, I may think that they want advice, but what they want is actually a listening ear or some affirmation that their situation is bad. So now I know. Last time I would try to fix other people's problem, especially my friends and families. But now I realize sometimes people don't see what you perceive as problems. They just see their struggle as what it is. And if you point them out, they may get offended. So nowadays, I'll just ask someone if they need help. And if they say no, or they didn't give me a reply, I will not pursue any further. I'll just zip my mouth and leave it as it is. If I want to develop good boundaries myself, then I have to learn how to respect other people's boundaries too. Rule number 8. If someone is unkind or critical, or just want to be right and not open to other people's opinion, I'll just walk away. I welcome different opinions, suggestions, and even feedbacks, but there is a kind way to express an opinion, and there's a rude way to express an opinion. If someone is overly critical, I'm not going to just sit there and listen to them. I started doing this very young when I was a teenager. When my dad uses expression that I felt was too critical and rude, I just stood up and walked away. If he truly has a valuable feedback to share with me that will help me, then share it in a nice manner, because the message won't get to me if he's using a very harsh tone. When it comes to comments on my video, blog posts or books, it's fine that people have different opinions from me or even disagree with me. Usually I wouldn't address the comment. I would just leave it as it is, unless there is some misunderstanding that I need to clarify. It will also depend on whether the person is open to hearing alternate opinions. I kind of find debate meaningless, especially when the other party has already decided that their opinions are right. I'm not going to convince them otherwise. And what's more meaningless is debating in your mind. You know how you have a mental argument with someone in your mind to prove that you're right when the person is not even around you. There's no need for me to defend my view because I'm not trying to get everyone to think exactly like me or trying to control other people's perception. Other people are allowed to have a different point of view. And leaving those comments as they are is great because it gives other viewers different perspective on the matter. I actually respect people who have their own way of thinking, as long as they don't force other people to think like them or think that their way is the best way or the only way to do something. But what I would definitely delete is comments that are personal attacks. When their comments have nothing to do with the content, it doesn't add value to me, it doesn't help me improve, it doesn't add value to the viewers, then I will delete the comment immediately. And I kind of have a kick out of deleting their comments, especially if their comments or emails are very long, because it only takes 1 second to delete, like just 1 second delete. Huh? What do you say? What do you say? It's gone. Bye. While it may take them a long time to write, I've learned to ignore and not spend any time or attention on this hurtful comment that are not going to provide any value to anyone. But of course, my intuition overrides everything. If someone is critical, but I feel a calling to talk to them, then I would. And this is exactly what happened one time. And you want to know what happened after I respond to the critic? Watch this video next.